that. Ooh. Oh. Therapy. Oh. We've lost our minds.
Melanie has lost her marbles.
You look cute in those glasses.
I do?
Yeah. Oh, I just cut
Are
my
they
hair and my
prescription
finger
glasses?
cut. They are.
Hey, Nurse Mama.
All right.
And
We
the
ready
runner.
to rock and roll? Good morning, you guys. We're just having a little bit of fun.
That's what I'll
Okay.
start calling you. Hey,
What?
Nurse Mama.
Nurse Mama? I am a nurse mama. I'll talk about that in a minute.
that's
Okay,
right.
you ready?
Yes.
Hello and welcome to Anatomy of Marriage Radio. I'm your host, Melanie Studley.
What's up, guys? My name is Seth Studley. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Today we are talking all about therapy, why you need it, who it's for, what it's like, all the things, and we're so excited that you're here with us. We are live on Facebook and Instagram as always, so you can join us and ask your questions in the show and all of that jazz. And every day
That's
we
right.
do 4 things. We do a prayer together, we do our intentions together, we do our gratitudes together, and then we talk about our topic of the day, and we encourage you to do this with your spouse. Pray, do your gratitudes, do your intentions. Sorry.
Absolutely. No. What's up, Lakeisha? What's up, Daniqua? What's up, wife? What's up, Mateo? Good to see you guys this morning. And, okay.
Good morning.
Let's start it out. Let's pray. Dear Jesus, thank you for your blessings. Thank you for life. Thank you for opportunity, God. I pray that you comfort people who are hurting all across the nation right now, and be with the families who have lost loved ones and who are experiencing these terrible times right now, God. I pray that we act in solidarity against these things that work against us, that hold us down, that oppress us in every way, God. I pray that you be with us, protect our families, protect all of our relations. Thank you, God. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, and I pray that because, yeah, stuff's heavy right now, obviously, and it's hard to look at the news or Facebook or other feeds and not be super upset and outraged and hurt and depressed and everything. So hopefully this will be a little bit of ray of sunshine. We stand in solidarity with things that are not...
Social injustices,
Right.
we are not down with them, and we
Right.
think it all needs to change, and that starts with all of our actions every day. We have to be intentional about this,
That's right.
especially as white people. We have to get our flippin' act together.
Right.
Anyhow, so let's do our gratitude.
Oh, gratitude. Yeah. Okay. I'm thankful that you played ER doc yesterday. Our kid got hurt, and
May I share the story?
yeah.
So I'm going to tell you the story of what happened yesterday because it was really crazy. So our kid went to go sit on our hammock, and the hammock comes apart, right? But he didn't remember to put it back together, so it was like sort of resting together and not actually popped together in these big heavy metal beams. And he sat down, and it whipped around and hit him like right in on his where his hair is on his skull, his hairline kind of. And all of a sudden I hear just this blood curdling scream, like over and over and over again, and I run outside, and he had blood just pouring down his face, like all going in his mouth. It's just going literally everywhere. And it was really amazing because, one, I didn't freak out, I didn't get scared. I just immediately went into like go mode.
You were cool under pressure.
Yeah, I told Mariner, I'm like, I need you to get paper towels, I need to do this, I gotta call our neighbor. My best friend is a pediatrician, and she doesn't work on Thursdays, so I'm like, Pamela's home, we gotta call her. So I call her, I call my mom, I get tough. And then what ended up happening was he had a really big gash in his head. It's probably 2.5 inches long and kind of wide, and it was bleeding profusely, right? So we tried to figure out all these things. We honestly didn't want to take him in to get staples or stitches. And so what we got to do, which I didn't want to post because I thought people would be mad at me, is my neighbor and I put honey in his hair, and I did hair sutures. I French braided, like tiny, super, super tight French braided his head shut. And so then he had to get a tetanus shot, and that's my gratitude to you.
Oh, okay.
That you took him in to get his tetanus shot.
Right.
Because I was like, I don't want to deal with that after this morning of braiding skull cuts.
Yeah.
And so he went in and get his tetanus shot, and I was worried that they were going to shave his head and give him staples, which would have been totally traumatizing.
Would not have allowed that.
But the doctors were all like, oh, that's really cool. And they showed other doctors the
Yeah,
braid.
it was cool.
So that was,
Yeah, I think we're thankful for each other for supporting our kid, obviously, and you know, a hard time like
But
that.
it was a crazy day. But I still did 2 workouts. I still read 10 pages of the book. I still did my diet. And I still...
is the important part.
Still did 75 hard.
What's up, Tierney? One of our good friends was doing 75 hard, and they went through a really crazy tough situation, and he still did it, and it was so inspiring.
Yeah.
T, you know what I'm talking about. What's up, Jamie?
Howdy do.
And it was crazy. It was wild, and you still did it. And trust me, that work that you're doing in 75 Hard is completely paying off, and I'm excited to tell you. So my intention is on June 20th, a couple days after we get back from Nashville and the beach and all that stuff. Boom, phase 2 happening for me, for this dude. 30 days, killing it. So
Love it.
Yep.
Totes love it.
that's gonna happen. So okay, go ahead.
My intention today is more positive words. I feel like I'm cresting that block that I've been stuck behind for so long of wanting to say it, wanting to do it, wanting to think it, wanting to feel it. And now I'm actually doing it. And I feel like yesterday was, maybe you didn't notice, but I felt like I was starting to actually form these new habits that I've been wanting to form. And I'm excited, and my intention is to keep on doing that. So
What day are you on 75 Hard?
I don't know,
Like
like
maybe 40 or something?
it ends in like 2 weeks.
Oh.
It ends when
60?
when we record with Rachel Cruz.
Oh, sweet. Party after that.
I know. The next day, though, it's when we
Right.
get to Charleston.
Right.
So party
Okay.
in Charleston,
All right,
y'all.
that's awesome. So,
But yeah, so do your prayers together as a couple. Do your intentions. Talk about the things you want to change in your behavior, the dreams and visions you have for your behavior, and then talk about your gratitudes with each other. This little thing goes a very long way.
yes, it does. So today's topic is therapy, and we're just going to talk about therapy. And so,
Before we
Oh,
start,
go ahead.
if you're on Instagram and Facebook with us, please comment about your experiences with therapy, what you loved about it, questions you have if you haven't gone yet. We want this to be as interactive as we can because people care about our opinions, but the people who are going through therapy and all that stuff, that really is important as well. So please participate. So
yeah,
go
guess
ahead,
what?
I'm sorry.
So your comments can help other people.
Will help other people.
Will definitely help other people. So throw some hearts, throw some literal comments to support, because we're all a support group here.
Right.
So do it. Anyway, we're talking about therapy today. And as a therapist, I've been licensed since 2008 and associate licensed a couple of years before that. So I've been a therapist for a long minute, and I still sometimes have stigma around therapy. And I have stigma around my own self and other people like me, which is so kind of mind-boggling, right? And sometimes I say to myself, oh, well, you don't have to do it. That's, whatever. Or like, oh, I have to drive there. I have to do this and do that. And I don't want to talk because just as I'll stereotype males here, because sometimes just as a guy, literally is like, I'll do it myself, whatever. I can white knuckle this. And I was thinking of this morning that, so yesterday I think was more stressful for me than it was for you because I had a call with like CEO people and stuff. And it was stressful, and I don't like conflict, and it wasn't conflictual so much, but almost any kind of conflict I just don't like.
Yeah.
Right? And for whatever reason. And so I just got anxious about it, right? And I should be anxious for nothing, actually. And I told you about it, and you did the best thing. This is another thing I'm grateful for. So we were outside painting after I got home from work yesterday, and I was just talking to you, and you put your paintbrush down. I was like, oh, here it comes. And I knew what you were doing, because you do that, and I really appreciate it. And you just came over and hugged me and, like, prayed out loud, right? And it was great. And I even found myself in that. Really, it was difficult for me
I
to...
could tell.
Yeah,
I could tell you didn't like it.
And
I wasn't going to let the devil steal my job.
That's right. And I just felt kind of tense for some reason, and it's nothing that I've like done or not done or anything. And I don't know. I'm working on it, right? And anyway, the point to that is, yeah, I just wanted to white knuckle it and be like, no, I don't. I can just do this. And I was even making the bed this morning. I was like, I'm a very, very, very strong person, right? And that wasn't from like an ego point. I was like, yesterday I basically was dying inside and just went on as normal. You know what I'm saying? Which is weird. I wasn't dying inside. That's kind of like...
It's very dramatic, but okay.
Very dramatic. And circling back to the therapy piece, it's like, no, we can't do this stuff alone. We can't, And the own stigma that I have, even against my own profession as a therapist, I have to get over. So I'm saying that for you to normalize it. Even a therapist has stigma and thoughts about therapy. So All right, our good friend says, I love therapy. I've been in therapy most of my adult life. There's nothing better than talking to a non-biased human who will tell me the truth, help me process situations, and help me be an active participant in my growth. It's awkward at first, blind first date awkward. That's funny, but it's so worth it every session. Thank you, Tierney. It is worth it. And I've been to a therapist, you've been to a therapist before, and you just talk. I did EMDR, and that's a type of very specific therapy, and I didn't know much about it, even being as a therapist, and this was like within the last 2 years, and it was wild. It was really helpful. And just this week, I think, like maybe Monday or something, I said to myself, you know what, I just want to go to a therapist and just talk, just say anything that comes to my mind, because it actually doesn't matter.
Do you mind sharing what it is that you're referring to? Because you mentioned that to me.
Oh, sure. So and this
volume.
Right, and this is interesting, and just an insight that I recently came to, and then now that I came to it, I've seen it play out in my own life, and then I see it play out in my clients, and our friends, and you, and whatever. And the thing was that the way that I was talking and treating one of our sons, it just dawned on me. It was just like a light, and I said to myself, oh my gosh, I am treating this kid through the lens of unresolved things that I had with my own dad, right? Like everything that got on my nerves, or was this or was that, was literally a mirror of what I kind of received. Well, not kind of, what I received. And then I thought about it more, and here's the interesting thing with family systems. It's like whatever those unresolved things are, we pick a person, usually an offspring, a kid, and that is who gets
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, that's called the identified child. That's called the identified patient. That's, it can be the black sheep or whatever, or more layman's terms. And it's really interesting. And just through a family systems lens, I was like, oh my gosh. And I read about this for decades. Well, not decades.
Yes, go ahead.
A long time. And thinking, this is how it plays out. Oh my goodness. And if you don't understand it, if you don't at least see that it's happening, then you're just going to perpetuate it and go and go and go, right? It's like that thing that I always say. I would rather know that there's a bear behind that tree on the hike than not. Because if I know that I can strategize and do something about it, run the other way, get out a gun and shoot it or whatever, bear spray, but if I don't know it, then I'm just going to walk straight past it and be damaged, create more damage, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's a really interesting thing. But the point of that was, then I said to myself, I'm just going to go to a therapist and say anything and everything that I think of, and go, I don't care, it doesn't matter, I don't know this person, she or he is completely unbiased, and it's confidential. It's not like I'm trying to hide things anyway, but they don't know me, I don't know them, blah. You just say everything, right? And then it's literally like our son's wound yesterday. You have to clean the dirt out, right? And once you clean it out, it's gone, and then it can suture back up and it can heal.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that I wanted to talk about. I actually looked up the definition of the word therapy just to see, like, what I love looking up definitions of words, and it's basically all it is healing from a thing, right? So therapy for, you broke your foot, now you need therapy, physical therapy. I mean, it's just so weird.
Occupational therapy, respiratory therapy.
There's a billion therapies out there. Yeah, it's just healing. That's all it is. And I think that just having that thought in your head of what therapy is, what the word actually means, is helpful. And I think a lot of people fear going to therapy. Can I just push the button for you because your giant thumb won't do it? Okay.
Mateo says, I just signed up for free telehealth therapy, not because I have major issues. I feel that I can benefit from talking to someone before things can get possibly worse. My family didn't understand coming from a Hispanic family. I think it's important to give it a try. Of course it is. Yeah. And
before poop hits the fan.
Before it hit.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. So I want to change my oil before that light comes on and my car explodes. Or you
blow your engine out, yeah.
Right? If I have a slack tire, if I notice a slack tire, it means not enough air in the driveway, I'm going to change it then before I get on the freeway
Right.
and hit 60 miles an hour.
Right, and I think the thing to think of in all of those analogies, oil in the car, air in the tire, like infection in a wound, those are all deadly. Not healing them, not fixing them, not repairing them is actually very damaging. It is very, very bad. And one of the things I heard yesterday, I was listening to Caroline Leaf, who is a neuroscientist. Oh my gosh, she's so cool. I just discovered, Pamela told me about her yesterday. I'm like already tripping. And she was saying our natural state, this is going to sound so hippie, but let me say this. Our natural state is love. Super weird sounding. But our natural state of being is love, it's health, it's wellness. That's not like, oh, you achieve that once you
Right.
finally get over the garbage in your life. That is
No.
our natural state.
Your
And
natural equilibrium is just literally like nature.
Yes.
Like a tree grows, produces seeds,
a tree's not fighting with anybody.
flourishes.
Right.
It is doing exactly what God created it to do, right? It's not trying to do anything else. And we get wacky when we're trying to do this and not be this and,
Or
and
someone
play
in
this role.
or someone in our life told us you can't be a tree. You're supposed to be a rose bush, idiot. And so I think it's important to understand that therapy is a tool created by people who care about you and love you and don't even know you and care about you and love you to get back to that homeostasis, that center of love and health. And I know that sounds so weird, like it's something I've never even heard, that our state of being should be love, but honestly, think about it. A mother and a baby, love,
What
right?
if it's just balance and harmony?
And that's
like
what-
the first
yeah.
thing that I thought of when you said love is I was like, harmony. Like a tree, like
Yeah.
a flower, like grass. It doesn't mess with other grasses.
Yeah,
it
grass ain't
grows.
yelling
and
at
they
the
live-
tree.
They live together. Natalie says, it's honestly been a gift to the people around me that I love because I understand myself so much more. I can understand my triggers and how to help myself before I have a trauma response to others around me.
That's amazing.
Exactly. Knowing yourself is like the greatest gift that you can give to yourself, first of all, and then give to your spouse, right? Like all the work that I did with Enneagram 9 stuff
Yes.
has been great, you know? And then the study of, okay, you do it too. Let me find out what you are. And then I can know your triggers when you're out of balance or whatever, when you're leaning towards this or whatever. And it's just simply knowing. And sometimes, a lot of times, we're too close to it. We can't see
Yes.
the forest for the trees. So going to a therapist who doesn't know you, who doesn't know your story, can say, wait a minute, you're saying this, but you want this. Have you ever thought of this? Let me point this out to you and just literally reframe it back to you. And how does that sound?
Yeah.
You know?
There's a quote, and I think it might be Einstein. I could be wrong. I'll probably be wrong, but I apologize.
Good one, Einstein.
So it says, an unexamined life is a life not worth living. And I know that sounds really weird, but I want to put it into a different context here. If you are just living your life in a reactionary state, meaning someone makes you mad, you get angry at them and yell back. Someone, you were abused as a kid, you don't ever figure out how to heal that trauma, you just abuse someone else as an adult. That's an unexamined life. And now I'm not saying these things were your fault. Heavens no, that's not what I mean. But what I am saying is that, even from my own childhood, I had I had a very safe childhood, lots of great experiences, some pretty tough ones. But I have, excuse me, I have learned patterns of communicating that are very unhealthy. Being sarcastic to Seth, not expressing love to Seth, not expressing my gratitude for him on a daily basis. And it takes someone helping you examine your life and go, oh, hey, maybe that's okay in your family of origin and they're cool with that. But the guy you married who's 3,000 miles away and from a different culture than you, that actually is injurious to him. It wounds him. So the therapist's dynamic gives you a impartial person, an unbiased person who is just far enough away but also just close enough in to say, oh, wait. When you do that, you don't get the result that you want.
Right.
When you do that, you actually harm this person. And the thing I think most often people think about therapy is that they're afraid to go because of several reasons. And if you have reasons that you've been afraid to go to therapy, pop them in to the comments because it's important. I think it's very important. Because I remember thinking, when you wanted us to go to therapy in the very beginning of our relationship, I was so mad at you. Because I was like, I thought everything was Seth's fault for one. And I'm not saying that jokingly. I literally was like, nothing is wrong with me, idiot. Go get therapy yourself.
So you were getting mad at me for something. It's almost like, hey, let's do something that benefits us.
Right.
hey, let's save money.
Right. Let's get out of debt.
Should we have a bank account with some cheddar in it?
I prefer.
Melanie, maybe this is a good idea. No, don't do that.
Idiot.
Right?
Yeah, and that's because that's definitely something that when I grew up, that wasn't like a thing we talked about. My parents weren't against it, but it was not something like explicitly talked about that it was okay. And so when Seth approached me with that idea, I was super hostile about it. I don't want to go. This is you go. You're the idiot, right? And I'm saying that in that language because that's how I felt. And the thing that I was afraid of was that therapist was going to look at me and be like, "Oh, you are a stone cold bee."
Is there a website called you'renotanidiot.com?
Probably not now because you just projected it and someone bought it.
Don't buy that. We're going to buy it, and that's going to be like the therapy site to rule the world.
But I think it's important for people to think about rationally what your fears are about going to therapy. Why do you have an aversion to it? If it's a cost thing, I mean, Mateo just said he got free therapy. And you can your insurance sometimes has healthcare coverage that covers
It's
therapy.
called EAP, Employee Assistance Programs.
Mm-hmm. How does that work?
It works at your employer. I think it's a literal federally mandated thing. Most workplaces have it. Even at and I'm a therapist, so if I wanted to, I could go get 10 free sessions with a therapist if I needed to, or whatever.
So I guess ask if your place of employment has EAP.
Employee Assistance Programs. Or for real, obviously this entire show is sponsored today by getfaithful.com/anatomy of marriage. And we're not doing a therapy show because
you don't have to say that. It drives me crazy that you do that. It seems
you don't have to say that. It drives you crazy in front of our
It's like
friends.
you're so insecure about it. Get Faithful is amazing. Stop trying to talk it down.
Maybe I'll go there.
So honestly, our show is sponsored by Faithful Counseling because we believe in therapy. We can't counsel everyone who watches our show, although it would be awesome to do that. We don't have time. We're stitching heads together, y'all. But so go to getfaithful.com/anatomy of marriage and take the assessment on the website. That's the coolest tool I've seen ever in teletherapy, all of that world, is that you can do this questionnaire. It's so insightful. It goes through all these things like, do you have a religious preference? What is it? Are you married? Are you single? How old are you? What type of...
Do you prefer a male or female, or even a non-binary therapist?
Right. It gives you all the options. Yeah. And it's amazing. So go to getfaithful.com/anatomy of marriage to just start that process. And we are not... I cast the demons out of you of being insecure about talking about the most amazing sponsor. So go visit it.
Yeah. Okay. Getfaithful.com/anatomy of marriage. And I want to read just a line that a listener wrote. And
we got this email, and this is what inspired this entire episode.
Okay. Seth Melanie, I just wanted to take a minute to say thank you. I've been listening to AOM for a while, and it's been very helpful. I have struggled with porn and infidelity, nothing that I'm proud of, but it's part of who I am. So this person has tried to get his partner to listen, and they were like, nah, I don't need that. It's kind of hippie stuff or whatever. And they were unsure about it, and I'm not going to give too much away, but it's funny. It's a serendipitous thing. So one person was listening to it, and while the other person was away listening to it, the other partner said, hey, I'll give it a try. And then they both found out that they were listening to it, and then they had a great conversation around it of healing. So this person also checked out getfaithful.com/anatomy of marriage to hook up with a counselor, and they said it's been amazing.
Yeah. Don't miss the part that says they're doing our app. They're using the Anatomy of Marriage app, which is newly named the Anatomy of Marriage app. Oh my gosh. But this, I don't know why you didn't just read it. But they are doing counseling with getfaithful.com/anatomy of marriage, and it is game changing for this couple.
Right.
And they wanted to just reach out and tell us about it. How awesome is that?
Which is awesome. Thank you for emailing that, because that is amazing when we hear stories of people succeeding. And they also talked about the conversation starters in the Anatomy of Marriage app, and it does what it says it does. It starts a conversation about things that I would never, we thought of them all, but you just don't think of them when you're just sitting there alone. Like, we could go sit in the grass and say, hey, what's this?
Yeah.
We don't have anything to talk about. Oh, yes, we do.
Right.
Boom, baby.
And what's so fun is that the conversation starters in the Anatomy of Marriage app can work for kids too. And I've done some with my neighbor while we're walking, and it is so fun. I find it so enjoyable. So check out the Anatomy of Marriage app. You guys check it out just because we redid the title and I'm so excited.
And it looks good with the logo and everything.
I love it.
Let's like literally summarize what we're talking about. We're talking about the benefits of resources, not only our resources like givefaithful.com, not the app, but the resources and the desire to want to grow, right? Personally and in your marriage. So we have done this by reading tons of books, by listening to audiobooks all the time. audibletrial.com/anatomy of marriage is one. Books, reading books, journaling, doing all these things because it is absolutely, in my opinion, about self-discovery, about self-growth, and the three line that came to me when I was praying. We have to have hope, we have to see that there's opportunity, and we have to have growth. So this podcast is all about giving hope, giving opportunity, or making you realize that there are opportunities, and then having us all realize that we all want to grow. Your Uncle Gary talks about plants. He says, everything just wants to grow. Like if you think about weeds or a yard, and especially springtime around here.
Or a tree you cut down and then it shoots out a side root thing.
Yeah.
And it's...
I mean, you leave a potato on the counter too
It's
long.
growing.
What does it do? All you have to do is leave it there. You don't even have to look at it. It just wants to grow.
An onion.
Everything just wants to grow. And as you were saying, I'm going to tie this back to the very first thing that you were saying about love and harmony. Literally, like God is not a God of craziness and disorder. You know, we can get crazy and get disordered, of course, but the natural state of things, how God created it, how God intended, is like, hey, peace, harmony, and love.
It's
right?
growth and flourishing. That's what I think is.
Exactly.
There's no potato sitting around with all the energy of growth and flourishing inside of it that says, don't grow, don't grow, don't
Right.
grow, don't grow, don't grow.
And he's not mad at the other potato, the red potato next to him. You know, they're both going to do their thing and grow. What's up, Stephen? Thanks for the claps, Tierney. So it's just a. I mean, this is pretty cool. Let's do our part and realize, like, let's just grow. And in order to grow, you have to do work. You have to read. You have to talk. You have to go to therapy. You have to journal. You have to listen to things, like Ken Coleman says, the proximity principle. Surround yourself with people like who you want to be. You know, you're the sum of the 5 people that you hang out with the most. Who are you hanging out with? Are you hanging out with losers and drinkers and pot smokers and video game players at 12, in the afternoon on a Thursday? If you are, if you want to be like that, fine. You do you. But if you want to grow, then you got to change some stuff around.
Yeah, flourishing and growth takes place in particular environments.
Right.
And video games really aren't one of them. Unless you're a developer and then you're rich. But one thing I did want to say is that counselors and therapists not only are going to help you figure out what's going on in your mind, how to process things you've experienced, all of that stuff to kind of help you make sense of what you're thinking and feeling, but then they counsel you. They give you the steps. They give you hope, but they also give you guidance. Like, if I have a hard time shouting at Seth every day, which, hey, I've been there, the counselor will say, when you have the urge to shout at him, here's what I want you to do. And they'll give me 2, 3, 5 steps, whatever that is. They'll give me things like meditations to listen to, books to read. So I just wanted to pop that in there, that a counselor helps you figure out what you're doing. A therapist helps you figure out how to take the next steps to begin the process of change. Without that unbiased person to kind of hold our hand, we often cannot figure it out. And we go round and round in circles, upset at ourselves, upset at our partner, upset at life, because I can't figure it out, I can't figure it out. Dude, there is someone who will help you figure it out. And you don't have to figure it out. They will. They have education, training, thousands of hours talking to people and working with people. So just understand that there are people who will do this stuff with you. And reach out if you need that assistance. There's no reason not to. There's a billion reasons to do it, though.
Yeah.
Health of your kids, the health of your marriage, the health of the generations that come after you. And oh my gosh, Caroline Leaf was talking about that our thoughts and the chemical sort of cocktail that happens when we feel things literally changes us on a cellular level. And this woman is a neuroscientist. She's not like some quack out there just peace and love in it all over. She is like, it changes your chemical, your cellular, everything. So when you're stressed out all the time and have anxiety all the time, which a therapist will help you with, if you have that chemical cocktail constantly going through your body, you are going to impart that onto your kids. You're going to give that to the generations beyond you. So I really encourage you, mental health, doing mental wellness is vital. And that's what therapists are for. Do not ignore them because you're scared. Do not ignore them because you don't know about it, or don't let money get in the way. There's nothing more important than this in the long-term success and health of your marriage and relationships and
That's
family.
right. Somebody says, I tried to get help at my university and they kept changing my person and I had to keep starting over.
Don't give up.
Okay, yeah, exactly. That is annoying. I have had to do that with clients too. I'm sorry that I have to transfer you, whatever. And that is discouraging, right? That is not the therapist's fault. That's not the university's fault. It's not your fault. It just is, right? And if you want it bad enough, do not let that, although it's annoying and you have to tell your story over and over again, which can be re-traumatizing for some folks, do not let that get in the way of your healing. Then I tried with my hubby, but he was an acquaintance of my hubby and basically said there was nothing wrong with the hubby and I needed help. It was wrong. My experience have been hurt and I've been from therapists. Okay, so this is a thing. Therapists aren't perfect. There are some bad ones out there, just like there's bad cops, bad doctors, there's
Bad people.
unprofessional people, right? So do not let that discourage you, right? It just felt like I was so wrong for the dude to agree with my hubby, and yeah, like, you're the damaged one. Great. Yeah, that was crappy. That was, I almost said something else, in fact. So literally, that is not good. Oftentimes, a couple comes in and the other person wants the therapist to agree, and they're like, well, I'm not going to agree with you. That's not my job. And I would not do that if I had a couple in front of me, right? I would just say straight up, telling it like I see it. And so I can understand your real frustration and even hurt from that. Like, oh, great, that was not a good situation. And I'm sorry that you went through it, but you went through it and we can't change it. So do not let that get in the way of your healing, right? It's just, let it make you stronger. Right? Let it make you stronger. Talk to your next therapist about that.
Right. Well, and what I want to say about, you said talk to your next therapist, and this is what I think is super important. I noticed a trend that I think therapy seems really daunting. It seems out of reach for people, and it seems like expensive. It has sort of the stigma of being like, it's, I don't know, I think of it like British royalty. Like, it's like untouchable. That's what I think. So hear me out for a second. So people often try to find the cheapest version that they can get. They will settle for like scrap therapists, just like they're the cheapest one in my town, right? They're like pricing their therapists out when really they should be looking at the effectiveness of the therapist. You know what I mean? And so what happens is that people go for the bottom of the barrel therapist, like, oh, I'll go to my free church therapist. And I am not knocking a free church therapist. We had an amazing therapist at our church, but we also had like 4 really crappy ones before we found Alex. And so it's hard to communicate the importance of this. Sorry, our daughter just walked in with a sign. What's her sign
let's
say?
read it. It says,
Are you done?
Are you done? I was wondering if I could pick
Stinger
nettles to get the battle pass. Answer the question, yes or no.
Look at this. Our 8-year-old is trying to make money harvesting stinging nettles because we're hippies to get a battle pass in Fortnite. Throw up a sign if you like Fortnite. Anyway, so I think what the problem with this, where people kind of scrape the bottom of the barrel, they try to get the cheapest, like, you know, whatever therapist they can find. There are total turd therapists out there who are just trying to get your money. They're just like there are turd everybody's out there trying to pickpocket you or
turd everybody's.
And so I want to warn you that the lower the cost, the freer it is, the easier it is to access, does not equal, I mean, therapists are not all created equal. How about that? So just because they put a name on it, like Seth said, if in the other episode the other day, like, if you have a therapist who is certified from an online thing, and they got their license in marriage and family therapist degree in 8 months from, you know, like wackadouniversity.com, they're not going to be a good therapist. So don't do that. Don't think that that's okay. Instead, get references. ask people you know. Hey, is there a therapist you've ever gone to that you really love? Or go to getfaithful.com
How about
/anatomy
this?
of marriage and find a therapist that specifically works with what you're dealing with. Don't just go, well, which one's in that room?
I don't want to spend more time looking up Yelp reviews to a restaurant than I do looking up a therapist that I'm going to talk to my
Right.
deepest brain stuff about.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? I'm not going to spend more time on Amazon looking at
Right. I was
5-star
just gonna
reviews
say that.
about some,
Pair of shoes.
Tupperware or who knows what.
Tupperware.
Kitchen zipper. What is that? I don't even know.
Slicer?
Than I am a therapist that I'm going to talk to
Right.
about childhood stuff
Right.
and marriage stuff.
Like
and all
if
that
you're researching a new air conditioning unit longer than you research a therapist,
Right.
you've got it twisted, and everybody has it twisted.
Yeah. Does the therapist have a LinkedIn profile? Do they have a license? Well, they absolutely should have a license number with the state that they're licensed in. You can look up mine right now. It's LMFT. I don't know the numbers, but you can look up it in the state of Washington. Blah blah blah. When they were licensed. Oh, how long have they been a licensed therapist? Right. Like I said, I've been licensed since 2008. Okay, that's a good. What is that? Licensed of 12 years. Okay, he's probably got some experience. Look that stuff up. Somebody says, I feel like some people have trouble not internalizing some of the advice or criticism that comes from therapists. Having an open mind and the willingness to be open to advice and criticism is critical.
Are you talking to me? Because that was how I was. Yes,
That's-
it's very hard. You have to have a new opportunity.
My-
And it is very hard. Sorry.
I was going to read.
But it is super hard because I was like, your therapist idea is stupid. I don't want to go. This is all you. You're dumb. You're dumb. You're dumb. Until I finally figured out that I could actually change and have growth. So it's a process. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So yeah.
Somebody says, my mom has been in therapy her entire life. I've never seen an improvement. In fact, in recent years, she has spent 18 months in day therapy. Still no improvement. Mad against therapy for most of my life. Today I realize this is my mom's game for attention.
Right.
She's absolutely
Yes.
played her therapist. 9 have ever gotten her number. I don't know what that means, but yeah. And so you do have therapists out there. Like, sure, if you're giving me money, I'll keep on talking to you.
Well, and I wouldn't
You know?
say it's the therapist's fault. I mean, I think
Yeah.
this person is correct. That is,
Yeah.
your mom is doing that for attention. And there was a statement that I heard about, and this was from, I think it was How to Win the Influence People book. Dale Carnegie talks about how doctors are essentially just they're a captive audience. Some people, that's the only way they know how to get attention.
Right.
They go, I'm going to go see that therapist every single day.
Oh,
They're not
that's
interested
right.
in changing. And that's very frustrating. I'm sorry that you're having to go through that, but it's definitely not the therapist's fault.
Those
And
are the most boring clients to have.
That's what I was just gonna say.
I'll tell you the truth. If you find yourself, so I'm a therapist, and if I'm working harder than my clients, that is
Yeah.
not rewarding. It's literally pointless. And then sure, I'm getting a paycheck, but that's not the ethical thing to do. And we have a whole code of ethics for different professions and associations that we're tied into. Somebody says, and the willingness to put forth the effort to change.
you got to do it, and it
You
is
gotta
hard.
do it. You can't in any relationship for a long amount of time. You can't be the one working harder than the other person that wants to change, right? You can for a minute, like we've talked about before. Like, okay, I'm at 100, Melanie's at 50. Well, we're married, so I'm going to be there for you and that. But if it's always I'm 100 and you're 50,
Yeah.
then there's something wrong. I can't want the marriage more than you do. I can't want to change. I can't want to do more work than you want to. And in therapy, sometimes I just straight up ask my questions like, hey, why are you here? What are we doing? Is this helpful? Is this still helpful to you? And they say, well, yeah, just, I'm like, okay, that's good. And they give feedback, and what that does, that literally puts it on them. Why are you here? What are you doing? What's the deal? And there's been times when the clients didn't have an answer, and I have to like help them,
Yeah.
and they say, oh yeah, you're right. And of course, I don't work harder. Well, there have been times when I work harder than my clients,
Right.
which that's a learning growth process as a therapist. And there's times when that other person literally is lost, literally doesn't have anything. And then that's when you like, okay, I'm going to help you now for, a week or 2 or 3 or 4. And then you want to see change after that. But if I'm in any relationship, if I'm working harder than you, if I want you to change more than you want to change, then
yeah. And I will say that is often why I'm very assertive and aggressive about this stuff, because I needed someone to seriously kick my butt. And that's why I'm often a snippy, and people don't like it. People get a little like, oh, why would you say that, Melanie? Because that's what I needed to hear. I am saying this because if someone had said it to me 15 years ago, I might not have been an idiot for the last 12 years.
But one of my favorite sayings is a Chinese proverb. What?
After every, it's a...
No, it's a Chinese proverb. The teacher will appear when the student is ready, right? So what does that mean? That means, you know what? I could have been reading every single book ever and been like, oh yeah, whatever. Until I'm ready to hear that feedback and internalize it and really digest it, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Right.
Somebody says, my mom asked me to read I Don't Want a Divorce. She loves Jesus, but my dad is super selfish, and she's been alone in her marriage for years. She's at her wit's end. Any thoughts about the book? I haven't read that book. I haven't heard about the book either. So I can't give an informed answer on that. Your sponsor is probably not international. No, I'm located in Spain. Jamie. I believe it's not just a U.S. thing. If you speak English, which it's apparent that you do, because I don't think it has like choices.
I wish you had wrote it in Spanish. And it's
that's awesome that you live in Spain. Spain's
We've
a great
been
country.
there.
We have been there. Anyway, yes, I believe that it will work internationally. So try it out.
We'll try to figure it out. If it doesn't, let us know. But I do want to say to that, my mom asked me to read that book, and she's been alone in her marriage for years. She's at her wit's end. So I want to say this. She's at her wit's end. But does her wit's end have boundaries? Does her wit's end offer her husband new opportunities? Does her wit's end go to therapy? Like, I know people get to their wit's end.
Does her end of wits?
Basic wits. Basic Wits was furniture we used to have. Goodness. But anyway, I'm not trying to be mean, but sometimes we go, oh, I'm so annoyed and this is so hard and I've been alone for so long, but I will do nothing different to change it. Therapy, have we done therapy? Have we talked about new opportunities? Have we tried to do the Anatomy of Marriage app? Have we tried all the things? Or are we just standing at the end of our wits going, nothing is changing?
Right.
I'm not trying to mock your mother. I just wanted
the boundary line of wits.
Zazzy. Oh, look! There you go.
The cliff of wits.
Jamie asked this question in Spanish.
Ooh, okay.
Do it.
That's pretty good. No, I'm not going to read.
That's our favorite thing, is to get Seth to try to speak Spanish, because he can, but it sounds so funny that our kids and I always laugh.
Let's see. Conversational.
Application of the things you read and learn is a must. If you don't apply it, you are just wasting your time. Amen. Air 5, all of the things. I don't care if you learn all the stuff, if you watch every TED Talk out there. If you don't do any of it, shut your mouth.
You know, there's a term for those. What is it? It's called something like conference surfers.
Oh, yeah.
And this is in everything, in like the church world. Oh, I'm so pumped up to go hear this preacher, and this conference is going to be lit, you know. And then therapists who are just like reading books and going to conferences and like, oh, trauma this and trauma that.
Right.
And that's all. That's all you do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's almost like a librarian. I'm not knocking librarians, but you have like a mound of knowledge. You have this vast library of knowledge, and all you do is stand in it. you don't practice it. Librarians don't necessarily practice what's in their books. They just stand and look at them, right? Like you need to actually be practicing
and
it, right?
Plan out. Yeah. Which I've done
librarians.
that before. Sometimes that just means our wheels are spinning and we're not getting anywhere.
Right. And then it says, no, that makes sense. Therapy, marriage counseling, and the conferences. It just hurt for her, and thank you for the advice. Yeah. You're welcome. And another thing I want to say about that is that sometimes, as much as people say they don't like something, they actually don't want to change more than they... the idea of change is so much scarier than the idea of staying unhappy and the same. And they'll complain and complain and complain and complain. But until the desire to change becomes stronger than the complaint that they are constantly doing, nothing can be done. And in a way, they don't really want something to be done. So I know that sounds weird.
I'm going to quote something else. Anais Nin has a quote. Anais Nin's an author about until the pain of changing is less than the pain of staying the same, then we don't do anything, right? And I think of a worm that's turning into a butterfly, right?
A worm, a caterpillar.
Not a worm, a caterpillar, inchy worm like this.
Right, yes.
An inchy worm is in the cocoon. He'll stay there until I can't even move anymore, right? But I mean,
or like a crustacean molting.
What?
Getting a bigger shell, a crustacean. He's got a, have you ever watched a crustacean molt? It's disgusting. But they literally, it's so uncomfortable. And then they have to like jazz and ziggle out of their suit.
Ziggle?
Ziggle. It worked. But yeah, and there's a discomfort in change. And sometimes well, not sometimes. People always prefer what they know, even if it's bad.
The Crustacean College of Lobster Knowledge.
Oh gosh, not okay. My personality is such that I'm not ready to make changes until I'm sure my knowledge of the subject is strong enough to make failure impossible. Oh, no, ma'am, no.
You're like that too. We're okay.
What do you mean
Erin,
you're like that too?
So what? I'm gonna sum up your thing, right?
Before you do that, the process is the content. My science boyfriend, Dr. Dan Siegel, who totally knows he's my science boyfriend, said the process is the content. You saying I won't change until I know that I won't fail, that's not going to happen. The process of going through the change is what people need to see, and more is caught than taught, so your kids will see the process. Ugh.
I have a beautiful article that I wrote.
A barticle?
Oh my gosh. No.
Yes.
So Jamie, stick with us here.
So she says, read the comment above it, did we not?
Sometimes you have to listen to all the TED Talks, read all the books to gain the head knowledge to get yourself into a place where you're ready to change.
Yes.
So being prepared.
She said, you only read part 2.
Sorry. We're like busting your butt because
right.
of that. Yeah. But being prepared and having wisdom about something. Of course, I'm going to do my research. Like if we move, I'm going to do all my research and make sure that we have money, we have savings, we have all this to be wisdomically informed, right? Okay, I'm going to research it. And sometimes then you make the leap, right? I don't know if the travel whatever is going to work to do all this, but I am willing to take the risk, right? And the article I was talking about is it's like it's the build up for the avalanche, before the avalanche, right? It's all this tension, all this pressure, and then that one, this is kind of allegorical, one snowflake falls on the thing, and it's like that split second of like, I am not staying here anymore. I know I'm falling, but it's the minutest piece. That's where like the atom bomb of growth and opportunity and just craziness happens.
Let me give you
another.
Let me give you a different version, and this is perfect for what you're saying. So you can either be an avalanche, or you can be the creation of a new stream. So a new stream doesn't go and like rip apart the thing and trees go with it everywhere, right? Not a flood, like an avalanche. An avalanche does that. But a new stream starts with one little dot at a time, one drop of water at a time, and it goes a little bit farther, a little bit farther.
It's like those great things that you see on nature shows, like a mega rains happen.
Yeah, the time lapse of
100
like
miles north, somewhere in Africa,
Yep.
in like the desert, and then it's literally a tiny little stream, and then the whole savanna
becomes like a fertile
ground.
And that's what I think.
Beautiful.
A lot of times people think, well, I can't do it till I'm ready. And then what happens is they avalanche their life. They avalanche their relationship. They go, all right, it's time for change. Everything's going to be different. I'm not doing this. And they come in and all of a sudden they're different. And you're like, what? And one, it's not very sustainable. And so so that's my only gripe about that, is that if you're coming in like an avalanche, if you're Miley Cyrus and you came in like a wrecking ball, you are like knocking everything out and you're changing everything and you're whatever. I prefer this idea of like that saturation of a desert, and then all of a sudden you have fertile ground, and it's little by little by little. It's every day doing a little bit different than you did the day before. That's why intentions are so powerful.
That's right. So somebody says failure is a necessity to
He's
change.
speaking Spanish now.
You can't have one without the other. You should want to fail to a certain extent.
I like that.
Guess what? Failure. Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this, and so does Thomas Edison. Like when making the light bulb.
He's always talking about this.
No, he's not anymore. He said, no, I didn't fail 10,000 times before I created the light bulb. I learned 10,000 ways not to do it.
That quote is illuminating.
Oh, you just not.
The whole time you're saying that is all I was thinking.
That's all you
Failure
think of.
is very important, but again,
Right.
I know what you're saying, Aaron, and I get it. But that's my fear of like massive change. Be it an avalanche annihilates stuff and it kills people, but a small trickle that becomes a new river is fertile and it helps things grow because it's calmer. And so I don't know, little bits of changes every single day add up in the long run, and that's where I'm saying do your intentions, do your prayers, do all that stuff. Go get therapy. Little
Right.
changes every single day. Failure implies that there's a perfect way. There is no perfect when living life. There is trying and struggling through something, but keep moving in the right direction. I like that.
Absolutely. And again,
That's really good. That's really powerful.
I don't even like Star Wars. I like it, that my kids like it, but I've never, and he's
Hard.
probably
That was
just,
a quick change. You don't like Star Wars?
right. But it's a Yoda quote.
Right.
There is no try, do or do not.
Mm-hmm.
And that,
In our list of quotes, it will be Jesus, Yoda. I just think that's
a
funny.
nice Nin,
Right.
Thomas Edison, and then Yoda. There is no try. And this gets on my nerves when I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to try to work out. At the end of the day, you did or you didn't, right? And it's the movement from it's the movement from I'll try, I'm going to, I wish, to I am.
I did.
I am a person that works out.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Hattie, the answer is yes, but you have to work for a good long time to get that stuff. Got it? Now she's
Anyway,
dancing.
say hi. Jump up. Say hi.
Who are you talking to?
Our show. Say, go get the Anatomy of Marriage app.
Get the Anatomy of Marriage app.
All right.
See
good
you
job.
later.
Have a good day, babe.
Scram. Failure implies. Oh, you
Yeah, we already
read
read that one.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
we love you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. We need to run. Seth's got to do something. I've got to do something.
Oh,
But we do want you to check out the new, revised, and improved Anatomy of Marriage app. It's not really revised or improved. It just has a new icon and name, and we're so excited about it. It's our couples counseling app that's fast, fun, and never boring. And our show is always brought to you by Anatomy of Marriage app. Go check it out. You can get it in Google Play, whatever that is, and you can get it in iTunes.
App Store.
The App Store, whatever. Get it all over. Find
Right.
it.
And remember, this show was about therapy. We encourage you to go to getfaithful.com/anatomy of marriage.
Yes.
Go there. You'll literally thank us later. And if you don't, we don't care because it's helpful to you. And that's what this show is about.
Yes.
So we love you. Have a good weekend. See you Monday. Bye.
Bye.